Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Quinte West Police Service Board meeting. It's a pleasure to see so many here for a change. It's great because up to now, of course, we've been meeting virtually and whatever else we have to do. So today's a great day to have you here. And I'm asking that we add to the agenda today information provided to us by Ken Ashton regarding dumping of garbage in rural areas, please. Thank you. Any disclosures? Anyone? Declare that closed. Okay. Approval of the agenda, August 29th, 2022. Moved by Chuck, seconded by Ted. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Thank you. Approval of the minutes, Police Service Board meeting held on June 27th, 22, and that the minutes of the Quinte West Police Service Board meeting held on June 27th be approved. So, mover and a second. Moved by Chuck, second by Deputy Mayor Allier. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, we've got a presentation today by somebody from, I don't know if Bill's doing it or who's doing it today, but come on up, Bill, to the podium here and give us your information. Thank you. Glad to see you, glad you're here.
Well, I'm still alive and breathing, so that counts. That's a very good plus. We would like to raise the drop rate for our taxis from $5 to $7. That's the only rate change that we're asking for. We figure in fairness that we're not looking to increase the mileage rate, just the actual drop rate itself. Our problems are at the moment is that we've been paying up to 100% difference in fuel costs, and at the moment we're still paying in the area of 60%. It's actually putting us in a negative situation. And being in business, I kind of would like to be somewhat in the profit position. We kind of would ask that we be able to change this basically immediately or within 15 days. With all of our costs going up, labor costs, basically all the costs across the board, inflation, and it's getting just a little bit hard to handle, and being in a negative situation is not good.
Any comments or questions? Anyone on the board? Well, it's difficult, Bill. I don't dispute what you're telling us. It's difficult. The fuel cost is one issue. That certainly is. Number two is finding any kind of parts that you need to repair any vehicles. That's another big issue. And if you can find them, you know very well that it's going to cost you a lot more money than it did to do the same thing last year. I'm a bit hesitant. I think some of these things that people are doing are because they feel it's necessary, but they want to do it, but I'm not sure it's 100% necessary in terms of the parts and repair issue that we're dealing with. But we have the same problem in the city. Parts are scarce, hard to find, equipment's down for a period of time, and when we do get it, it's much more than we had I guess you'd say, anticipated. So that's you're not telling us something new, but we appreciate you coming here and telling us how it's impacting you very much. Any other comments, Ted?
Well, I'm not surprised to see this on the agenda for the same reasons that the mayor is saying. You know, we're at an interesting time where we're going to literally have hundreds of things and hundreds of situations simply like this, where there's a fairness, middle of the road to the consumer on the one hand and those supplying the service on the other because of their cost that's going up. And so we just can't have 8.1% cost of living 1 month like it was last month and not have increased cost. So all I would have to say on this, if you know, under the fairness category, I see here in the print somewhere that it's going to be, if approved, printed in the taxes and so on, so that we're transparent about it, the consumer can see it, and it doesn't take a consumer very long to understand that their cost, the owner's cost is going up. So there's just that comment.
Anyone else? Any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I pretty much agree with what's been said, and I don't know how we can get around it. You certainly can't run a business at a loss. We all have businesses, and we know what our input costs are, and they have risen exponentially this year, that's for sure. No matter what you did, it's up, and it costs more money. But anyway, I know there's a decision item down below here, and I presume we'll have some more debate and decide how we can help you from there on.
Chuck?
I think what your proposal is very fair. So, yeah, I think, you know, rising costs everywhere, and, you know, it's certainly going to be passed on to consumers, and you're going to be transparent about it, and you're upfront. So, yeah, I support that.
Okay. Bill, I'd ask you a question. You're asking for $2 basically. And my question is, we would likely like to implement it over a period of time. Is that reasonable?
Our feeling is that if we just add the flat rate, like that, the drop rate is what our meters start at.
Yeah, yeah.
And we raise it from $5 to $7. This actually does not cover all our costs. It doesn't even come close to it. But it puts us in basically a balanced situation. It is spread out to everybody and every call that we do. This hopefully ends up that it actually puts us on an even balance. We do long trips, and with the cost of fuel, we actually lose money. The idea is that if it is done as one rate, it works out that the cost is the same to everybody. We're not looking to gouge anybody. It's just a point of being at a point where we're not losing money. At the present time with fuel costs, we're losing like $1,500 a week. That's not much, but when you start adding it up, it's a lot. It's just, we would like to bring so that our balance sheet at least reads zero and not minus.
So where I would come from to you, and listen, I appreciate your comments. I'm not trying to control it, but let's say we raised it $1 to start with, and within 30 days you go to the $2. And listen, the committee's going to make the decision. I'm just asking you if that is feasible. I guess that's what I'm saying.
It's feasible, Your Honor, but at the same time, I basically think that the average consumer is going to look at us raising it twice instead of just once,
Okay.
and say, wait a minute here, what are they doing to us?
All right.
I think a one-time impact is a lot easier for people to handle than to do it twice.
All right.
Maybe just one more point for clarification. You said it was just going to be this. You were asking for raise, not the mileage.
No, we're not asking to increase the mileage. $2, I think, will cover basically what we're looking for. Like, this is within the Quinte West area. We're allowed to raise our rates out of town. And there again, we can't raise them that much. We do have competitors.
Yes, yes.
So we have to kind of keep it on an even keel. But within the city of Quinte West, which is what the Police Service Board regulates, we figure this is equitable to everybody. It's not.
Okay. I'm not arguing. I'm just asking a comment. That's all. So, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other comments from Bill?
No.
Questions? Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask Ken Ashton to come up and speak, because Ken has had some problems with garbage, and I just want everybody to know what he's been dealing with and so on. Ken Ashton, yeah, Downs Road, I don't know the number, but
I'm on Downs Road, Jim.
What's your
but,
number
I
there?
have property with frontage on Downs, Murray Harrington Road, and also Parks Road.
Yep.
And we have, I guess like most people in the country, ongoing problems with people dumping stuff illegally. We've had things from toilets, we've had sofas, chairs, and that, that's a large stuff, and mattresses. But on top of that, multiple times we've had bags of garbage. The latest one that is my concern right now, on Saturday morning, sometime between 9 and 10:30, there was a large amount of garbage dumped on the Murray Harrington Road. And it's not just one or two bags. There's 4 or 5 bags. There's boxes, cans, and bottles, and it's awful. A lot of this stuff is recyclable. There's a lot of plastic bottles, and there's beer cans. They could take those back and get money back on them, but that's not happened. My daughter went through a bit of the garbage and found a magazine with a name on it. Some people on Stockdale Road. We went, had a visit with them to give them an opportunity to clean it up, and just ran into a lot of resistance, to say the least, and we ended up leaving. I told them we were looking to get it cleaned up. Went back the next morning, it was still there, so then I called the OPP, and no satisfaction there, really. They say it's a bylaw issue and it's up to the town. And that's great, but the town, if they send somebody out to pick it up and clean it up, that doesn't resolve the issue. As far as the people doing it, I think something needs to be done in the way that it's made public who's done it, that they're fined and punished in some way as a deterrent to other people that are dumping things. I have pictures of the garbage that was left there this weekend. They're on an iPad. I don't know whether that's possible to share with you folks or not, but
yeah, we can look at the pictures. Start with Chuck there, and
Sure.
I don't know. Any comment, Inspector, or?
Thank you, Your Worship. So yes, the dumping is under bylaws. Essentially, the OPP would respond if it was at the time, and we can catch somebody after hours, and then anything that's follow-up is a bylaw officer, so it should be a charge, or at least an investigation by the local bylaw officers for that case. We do work together in anything that happens after hours, or anything that, there's some sort of a safety concern, but I agree there's problems with the dumping in the rural areas.
yeah, it's a large problem. But
So, just further to Ken's comment, so if he calls you on the weekend, no bylaw people work on the weekend?
Correct.
So
So we
how-
would go and collect the information if it was happening now, and then we would pass that information on to bylaw. If it's something that happened before, then we pass it on to bylaw, and it goes in their court. So essentially, we are, if you're finding it happening now, someone's on my property and they're dumping garbage, we go because we're immediate response. If it's anything that's after the fact, then we take the information and pass it on to bylaw.
So I guess I'm still back to the garbage issue. So who will look through it? Well, like Ken has looked through it and found some information that's pertinent to the he feels pertinent to the garbage, and he even took it upon himself to visit the people, and they claim it wasn't their garbage, or I guess they can claim they didn't put it there. I guess that's the element that they would claim. And so I guess my question then is there anything we can do, or like if you find identification, what's the process?
We have laid charges when we found identification within garbage, if there's enough to make it reasonable assumption that it has to come from that household. Depending on how many people live in the household, you don't know which person did the dumping. It is something that you have to be able to prove. So yes, we would also go through on occasion if it's something like that and see if there's something easily identifiable. And then that would be the person we would investigate, but you still have to prove who dumped it. So it's very difficult if you don't catch them doing it.
And I'm not suggesting that any residents start going through garbage. I'm not suggesting that at all. I don't think that that's really what Ken should do either. But I think the appropriate people should be dealing with it, not just
Yeah,
the
and we would do that, and I assume that bylaw would as well.
Okay, good. All right. Anything else?
No,
Ken?
as I say, I do have pictures. And
Yeah,
it's just,
show them to,
Sure.
start with Chuck and,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can speak to this fact through working in our office. Carry on, Mr. Ashton. Bylaw would attend. Typically in the past in these incidences, Public Works would be asked by bylaw to go. They pick up all the garbage. We've done that before in rural areas. It's taken to a spot, typically the ops center. Bylaw staff do go through the garbage, look for identifiers. They create a case, photos, and then they follow up with the residents or the identifiers, and there is a process involved. So we do address these through bylaw.
we ever laid any charges?
Yes, sir, the bylaw has set fines that do adapt to that. It typically goes through court to the extent of larger fines, but we have done that.
Okay. Thank you. That's good. Anyone else? I did look at it, so I know what you're dealing with.
Your Worship,
Yes, go ahead.
thank you for bringing that forward. I think it is not just a rule issue. It happens inside the city. In our walks, we see it every day. And so I don't know the solution other than maybe, the city could look at an education campaign or something that says, looking at deterrence of some way that, it's like anything. It's like speeding and it has to be some preventative measures out there because it's not just in a rule. That's a significant amount, but if you walk around the city, you see things get dumped everywhere. And then, somebody has to clean it up. And so what's the cost? And then you have bylaw and then you have OPP involved. And so I think it's all change starts with awareness, and you brought it forward. So I thank you for that. And I think that,
I had a
something
number of
needs to be
neighbors
looked
commented-
at in terms of how we solve it and mitigate it. So at least we can reduce it somehow.
Ken?
I've had a number of neighbors comment that they're willing to help collect it and go and deliver it back to where it came from. And I suggest, no,
I think-
prefer to handle it through the bylaw.
Yeah,
people,
I
but,
appreciate that, but I think we better let our people pick it up and take it to the operations center, and then they can build a case, build a pile, and put it together.
And I do have some of the papers that came out of it here. You saw the pictures there, I guess, but,
Their name on the, no, don't mention any names. Don't mention any names.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Ashton, I'd be happy to help you coordinate that with our bylaw staff and put a formal complaint in and access your photos and the materials you have.
That's great.
If you could provide your contact information email.
sure. Now, could I
Well,
just
we'll
see
do-
bylaw today while I'm here? 'Cause
You can certainly go right
I think it's gonna rain and
upstairs.
get worse, actually. So-
Yeah, okay, so. But are you axing the meeting, sir? Mr. Mayor, would you like me to follow up with Mr.
Yes,
Ashton right now?
Well, if you can, or can Becky handle things where if you go and do that now, or if not, Ken can go up there and you can follow up after.
I'm willing
That's
to wait.
okay.
I don't want to take you away from the meeting if you. Okay, thank you.
But I think it's very true, as Mr. Malley has indicated, garbage, people are, I don't understand it, but all you have to do is try to get on and off the 401 and see where everything is left on a regular basis, so. And of course, sides of the roads and so on, it really isn't, we try to advertise our city as being a great place to live and do business, so we have to keep working at keeping it clean, and yeah, unfortunately. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. I know Bill Tremblay has got something else he mentioned to me that he has to do, so I'm going to ask Bill to bring us up to date, please, on community police, and then you'll be able to leave. Okay?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just had a birthday yesterday. I'm 80 counting on one day. So I'm very busy. I got a household full of people who are sitting home eating my groceries and waiting for me to come home so that they can say goodbye, and I'd just soon sit here with you people to go over there. But I'd like to say, and I got a couple of points I'd like to make and a question I'd like to ask. As I have spoken before, we at community policing were at one time 35 bodies strong. We are down to 11 now because of the COVID. We are still working hard on a volunteer drive, but it doesn't seem to be clicking together right away. We're still, people that we talk to are not sure whether they want to come back or they've got some more things to do or they got something else to do. But anyhow, we're 11 strong right now, trying to do what 35 did before. We're still doing our Crime Watch programs, which our Crime Watch coordinator is always calling me and saying, hey, we've been out, we've been out, we've been out. And we're also doing info for fraud for the seniors. And any seniors group that gives us a buzz, we've got 3 already on the go. We're just waiting for a time and a date. As I said before, we're stretched pretty thin. We got bike rodeos we're going to start doing in 2023 again and work into May so that when the kids get out of school in June or the 1st of July, they're up to date on what's going on around the city. We have 8 members who are keeping our office open Monday to Saturday with 2 shifts a day if we're lucky, but we do at least 1 shift every day, so we're sort of protecting our holy ground over there, if I can use that expression. I've been tasked with a question by my volunteers, and I guess I would like to know as well, to you, Your Worship, and through you to Inspector Reeve, and I guess the board members here with Quinte West. We're asking that, is Quinte West Community Policing still a viable outfit here for Quinte West? We have Halloween and we have maybe 2 Christmas parades coming up. Maybe, we don't know. We've got 25 years of community policing in Trenton and Quinte West since 1997. I'd hate to see the doors get closed. And we've had a lot of good help by officers from the Trenton Police Force as well as the standing police force of the OPP with our liaison officers. As I said, we're still working on getting our 35 people back, but as I said, we are worried we're not doing enough. And I'd just like to know if everybody's happy with what we're doing or they're okay with what we're doing.
Yeah, and listen, this COVID is still, it's still here, and I think that people are slowly returning back to where they were and doing the volunteer work they did, but it's taking time. But I'm thankful that you have the number of members you have and that you're there as much as you are. So, as the fellow says, stay positive and test negative. That's what we have to do, Any other comments, board members? Chuck
Well, first of all, I think you always do a great job, and given the circumstances of the last 2 years, it's to be expected. Things are down. But I would maybe defer it to Christina, because I think that the community policing has to be aligned with the service. And so, Christina, I'll ask you, is there anything else that we can do to bolster the rosters or to, social media campaign to do the things we need to do?
We can do that through the city, too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. Yes, the community policing is still very valued. The involvement of members of the community and their input and their energy put towards assisting us in any way is very much appreciated, particularly with your senior fraud prevention and your bike rodeos. Those two programs are something that we just do not have the capacity to fill the need, and you guys have always stepped up and been able to fill that, and you have, you know, members on your volunteer roster who have a good way of communicating with many of the people we're trying to reach out to. You know, you have that connection. So I agree that the expectation for it to be back up to where you were pre-COVID this soon after, you're probably being a little hard on yourself that you haven't got there, because we're all struggling to get back to pre-COVID. And we'll work with you in whichever way we need to bolster your numbers and your involvement when and if you're ready to get back at it that way.
You know, while proactive, positive communications we'll never have enough of, whether you're down to one person or not. And you've done an excellent job as a group, being proactive with policing, community policing, as long as I've been here, and I've been here since Noah got off the ark. So I really think it's not only important, I think we should do whatever we can do. Chuck mentioned proactive communications with the public through the city, police board, or police itself, to get more membership. But is it important? You bet it is, and will continue to be.
Don O'Neill, you had a comment or question?
No, I was just going to say, I'm sorry, I've got audio problems here today. It's just, and to say, to what Bill was talking about, the COVID is still around. That's why I'm at home. I've got a cold, but it's tested positive for COVID this morning. Anyway, I agree with everybody else has said about the community policing. I think it's very important and yeah, very high profile in the location downtown, and they have done an awful lot of good in the years that I've seen them around here. So I fully agree with that.
And Jane, can we make sure that we add this to our city social media and indicate that community policing needs new volunteers or additional volunteers? So make sure that happens. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree, Bill. I know it's been tough the last 2 years, but I think of all the programs you've done prior, your bicycle rodeos, your help with seniors for fraud and whatever seminars you held. There was just numerous things, parades and everything else. And then everything just kind of went into limbo with, as everything else did too, and I think it's hard to get back up to speed, but I don't want your folks to feel that you're invaluable, because I think you're a great asset, and I think we're all here to want to see things get back up to speed, but I just think of the few things that you've done over the past, and I think you're a valued asset, that's for sure, and that takes some of the load off the OPP too, and I know you do help them in a lot of cases with somewhat crowd control, if you want to call that, in parades and whatever, and it also helps them. You're another set of eyes out there too, and I know some of the other things that you've done in various patrols, I'll put it that way, of policing to give them a helping hand. So I don't want you to feel you're invaluable, because I think you're a great asset.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, Bill, thank you very much, and keep up the good work, and wait at least another 12 months before you have another birthday.
I'll make sure they all know what's going on.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone for public input? Are you with the guy at the back? Are you with taxis?
Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you. We'll talk about that bill right now, okay? We'll get on to that. I'm going to ask us to go to decision item A so that Bill can get out of here. Okay? I need a mover and a seconder, or I need some comments, or what do you want, what's your direction? That's what I'm asking. Deputy Mayor?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll move the recommendation to increase the rate to $2, the base rate.
Okay. Increase to, seconded by Ted. Okay. Any other comments? Anybody else? Any other? No? Don, you're fine? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. That's it, Bill. You're good. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Through you, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Mills, Mr. Shorts, I want to make you aware that the bylaw is in effect as of the signing today. So you can increase that rate. Give us an hour. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, we don't have any public input, so action plan annual progress report. Inspector?
Thank you. I was excited about having an audience. We haven't had anybody in here for, now they're all gone. But thank you. Yes, so our police, our OPP report for this section is very brief, but what I included this time was our progress report for our action table, which is the strategic planning within the OPP. So same thing, different name. So our local strategic plan, which concentrates on crime investigation, traffic, waterways, and then the community policing. So this one here is part of a 3-year plan, second year in. So just to let you know some of the things that we've been doing, which most of them we've covered under our monthly, our quarterly meetings anyways with our reports, but to give you an idea where we stand and what we're looking at. So within our community, the break-in enters, drugs, and vulnerable people continue to be our kind of priorities that just won't go away, the ones that we have constant challenges with, that we're working on, largely through both our crime prevention programs and through our street crime units. So trying to marry up our prevention with our enforcement and make some sort of an impact on the streets. And a lot of that has lately been tying into our community safety and well-being planning, so everything kind of overlaps and ties together. Within the roadways, waterways, and trails, as you know, spring and summer is an extremely busy time for everything traffic and water related, and recently, again, the ATV questions have been coming up with the trails in particular. So something that we try and keep our visibility up around the city and work with Public Works to keep up our visibility and our footprint and know where to be at what times. So, and then the things that we're doing to try and just increase our service overall and make the most with our resources, with our protocols with healthcare as far as spending less time at the hospitals, working on the collision reporting center, and then all of the community prevention programs. So this document basically speaks to all of those different items, but in a different format than what you're used to. So I wanted you to take a look at what we've been working on. One of the things that we're working at quite hard right now is trying to increase our auxiliary program, which is our volunteer policing program. Similar to what community policing has had. We have a unit of 10 people. We currently have 3. So we're trying to go through that recruitment and training and get that roster up so that we have those extra bodies for community events and for traffic controls at parades, as they also do many of our community programs as a second with the officers. So we're in the same boat as everybody else with the programs that weren't frontline and mandatory have followed to the wayside, and people have found other things to do. So that's one of the programs that we're working on right now. We have got a couple of really good recruits through that program that have just started with us, and a few more going through. So hopefully we can get that back up by next year. We're hoping by next summer we'll be able to have that where it's more viable as a program. Theft of gas is another thing that is something we had started on concentrating a couple years ago, and it's actually increased because of the price of gas being higher. But what we were able to do is go to each and every gas station and really encourage them to have a prepayment program, either at the pumps farthest away from their building or else in nighttime hours, which the majority of them have now done. So that's decreased, or I guess made neutral, the increase that we had from the price of gas going up. So through that preventative education and kind of a partnership with the gas stations, we've been able to reduce those calls by quite a significant amount. Of course, last time we spoke about this, the cemeteries and churches were a large issue. We've made it through this summer, and I'm knocking on wood when I say that. So we continue to do the patrols, but we haven't had any issues in those areas at all. We've set up a camera program to work in conjunction with the CCTV that the city runs, essentially inviting citizens to sign up their own cameras onto our program so that we know who to go and ask when we need video surveillance in a neighborhood. So if you have a doorbell camera or a camera on your property and you can just go onto our program, let us know that it's there, what view it has. If we have an incident in a certain area of the city, we can plug into that program and look to see who has cameras. So as a matter of course, we would go knock on every door and ask who has cameras at some point, but if we know that the next door neighbor has cameras, then we'll go to them first. So that's in its infancy, but we're hoping that by this time next year, we'll be able to report that we have a significant number of cameras enrolled in that and just increase our eye in the community without actually increasing our staffing. And then all of the groups that we have in our community policing, our community services side. Through COVID, that side of the building was almost empty. We're now back up at capacity. The programs are all running. They're seeing people within the building as well as just remotely, and the programs are increasing their capacity there. And we've had some of them increase their staff that are assigned. For example, Three Oaks, who's been a permanent resident of our systems for many, many years, has added another person who's working out of Quinte West. And there are a few others as well. So all of those are positive signs for things that we're moving forward on. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that part before I go into the traffic? All right.
No, I just want to thank you for a very thorough report. A lot of great numbers in there about various items, and it certainly brings you up to date on what's been going on and what you're looking at in the future too, I presume, as to carry on as a future agenda. So anyway, congratulate you on your hard work as always, and trying to get ahead and keep up to the various issues you have to deal with on a daily basis, that's for sure. But thank you very much for the report. Do we need a motion for that, or are you going to do both those at the same time? Okay.
Ted, yeah, just a comment too, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Chairman, I like the way the reports come out, and I just think back to 10 years ago. This is so much improved in terms of informative and so on. And I guess on a daily basis, do you see any red flags for us in the next 6 months or so? Because we're in an era of increasing costs, wondering where the revenue is coming from, and just about everything that we touch today. Do you see any red flags that we should be preparing for within the service?
That's a very large question. I don't see any red flags that we aren't already aware of. We have the same problems on a cyclical basis, so it's really identifying which ones we can get in on the ground floor and increase our capacity as they get larger. So things like the mental health, which is an obvious issue, overloading our healthcare system and overflowing onto the streets of Quinte West. So something like the impact system that we've now put in with addictions and mental health is giving us a baseline to deal with that increase, which with the cost of living is, may get worse before it gets better. So that would be an obvious red flag to me. Some of the other things that we were dealing with over the last couple years with COVID, with the neighbor disputes and assaults and a lot of the frustration overflowing, those calls have been going down in numbers. So our number of assaults this year to last is down by half. And that's not because we're doing anything amazing, it's because people are getting out and about and they aren't as frustrated with their neighbors not being home and on top of each other. So The drug use and mental health, I'd have to say, are the obvious ones that everybody can see. Resource-wise, we're very lucky that with the Ontario Provincial Police, if I happen to have a lean day here, there's neighbors who are offering to lend and vice versa. So that capacity is built in. Things like the equipment and vehicles are the same. The OPP overall is having difficulties with procurement like everybody else, but because they have other areas to draw on, we still have what we need within Quinte West. So I think that we have a good baseline to take whatever's coming at us, if that's fair. Good way to avoid your question.
Okay, thanks for that. I think it'll be a question on everybody's mind, no matter what service, whatever, the next couple of years, big time.
Yeah.
So that's a good review. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I'm kind of zeroing in on the impact and the mobile service unit you have downtown. And yeah, I'm just commenting on that, and I want to maybe get an anecdotal. What's your the numbers just in December alone? But I'm sure throughout the summer months with people downtown, and you can see sort of the, I would say, the obvious increase in mental health and homelessness. You see it, it's visible, but now you have services there that can help you with. So give me just what's your gut feel on how the impact of that the service is.
The impact service has had a huge impact right from the get-go. They've attended a large number of calls, as you can see there. Their capacity, we only have 2 people assigned full-time in that program. They have recently hired some more in the outlying areas who are doing vacation coverage and whatnot, so we have more coverage locally as well. But the capacity they have to assist people is actually quite staggering. It amazes me how much they can fit into a day. They've also gone outside of their immediate mandate of mental health and substance addiction, and they've been helping us with some of the housing problems, with connecting people with Alzheimer's, with doing some mediation for disputes, as well as going for a ride with some of our officers if they're having a day where they need an ear, being that independent person, so offering a little bit of support to our staff as well. I would see that program probably increasing over time, which really comes down to a matter of funding. And this morning I heard Ryan Williams on the radio talking about that program. It's not funded by him, it's funded by the province. But still there's that acknowledgement that it's making a difference. So if we can get a couple more there, it's just going to be beneficial. We've also been working with Quinte Healthcare, talking about the different issues they have with security at their sites when they have people come into the hospital that they can't deal with shouldn't have to deal with their nursing staff, some of the behaviors, and taking care of that internally through, as opposed to calling the police. You know, the transportation issues, whether it's ambulance or police that take people different areas, all of those are issues that have a constant cause stressors on us, and where impact is helping, because they'll sit at the hospital and keep someone calm while they're waiting for the doctor. So yeah, we expected it to do great things. It's exceeded our expectations.
Good. Thank you. I think that really answered my question right on. And so if there's, the question to you would be if there's anything we can do as a board to support any new initiatives or expansions of those initiatives, then let us know, and we're there for you. Thank you.
Conversation through a text messaging with a person on the weekend concerned with the operation of the, I guess you'd say, the hunt club, gun club, whatever terminology you use to that. So, and the concern is the time they start shooting on Sunday in particular. So I guess I would ask that we spend some time on Sunday monitoring. I have the phone number for the guy that is supposed to look after it. Maybe you have it too. So if you do, if you don't, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, if you want to forward it to me, make sure it's the same as what we have. We did look at that last summer and had some conversations with them around the increased use of the club, which of course is increased noise. And they were operating within the hours of their license and also within the hours of our noise bylaw. So they've definitely increased the use. I think their membership has grown exponentially. We can check with them again and see if there's a way that we can rectify it, but it really is a matter of just extra people using their system.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I've got here is this one, so that's the only one I've received with a concern that, I want, I also publicly thank you for helping us with the homeless situation. Yes, it's a difficult challenge, and it is certainly one that we all have to work together with, and we all have to manage our lives and our programs and our business, realizing that, yes, we do have homeless people here, and yes, they do require some understanding, and I appreciate the fact that you were there with us. And I was down on the weekend 2 or 3 times. There was nothing there that I saw. I didn't see any garbage or anything under the bridge or even close to it on the weekend. That's from my point of view. The fishing tournament was great. Yeah, everything went well, except for one fellow hit a rock and tore the bottom off his motor. Just cleaned it like he took a beautiful hacksaw and cut it in two. And he couldn't find it. He knows where he can tell you there's a beautiful prop on the bottom of the bay someplace. That's all he could say. But he did get another boat. This happened Saturday. He got another boat to use on Sunday, so he was back at it. So that's all. They had some great, fantastic fishermen. They catch more fish in a week or out of 2 days than I caught in my lifetime. Beautiful, yeah. Large and smallmouth bass. Some of them ranging well into the 5-pound range. So, and everything is live release, so was done well, everything. Except one boat stayed at a hotel in Belleville, and somebody cut the cover on the boat and removed the fishing gear from the boat. So, but I think they got the gear back, and at least they know who was involved. So that's good. Unfortunate to have something like that happen. Very unfortunate. Otherwise, a great tournament and bring a lot of people to the area. The one fisherman who was in the running for the top prize was from Owen Sound. So that's, anyways, that just gives you an idea. They're from all over, but that, to me, I thought was a long way. So it was good. Thanks for all the support from our OPP, because it was done well and everybody stayed healthy. So, okay. Action plan annual program. Have we got all through that one or not? All through that?
Did you want me to touch base on the traffic initiatives that we have, or?
Yes, sure.
It's all in writing there, but we could just
Yes.
go over it briefly. So we continue with our collision reporting center. We've currently trained all of our front desk staff to take those reports, so the civilian staff are doing that in lieu of an officer now, instead of having an officer have to do all that reporting, and then the officers just take on the contentious one or something where there may be follow-up. So we've streamlined that again to put those officers back on the road. Continuing with our impaired driving initiatives, where we still manage to apprehend way too many impaired drivers within our community. But we have extra training with the drug recognition for the impaired driving by drugs, and continue to work with the ACGO and the local bars to try and do the education on the front end while doing the enforcement through our ride programs and our regular traffic patrols. And then speaking to the Marine, we have had our dedicated Marine officers working out on the waterways throughout the summer. We've had very good luck with visibility. The dock at our new detachment certainly assists, because the boats are always there and can get on the waterway quickly instead of having to trailer somewhere and go through that whole process. And working in partnership with both neighboring detachments, but also other agencies. The day we were downtown there, we had one of the young fellas from Parks Canada on, and they were going to be going up the river enforcing the marine laws on the locks in conjunction with them. So reaching out to use other people's resources to supplement our own certainly helps stretch what we have. And then continue to use the tools that you have purchased for us through the PSB and through the city with the different signage around town and our mobile signs and our speed measuring devices. So what that has really done is reinforce that, yes, the speed is an issue everywhere, but where can we set up to have the most impact and you know, not waste our time sitting up at the wrong time of day. If everybody's speeding at 6 a.m. and we're not there till 8, it's not very effective. So those programs, none of them are anything new, but again, by concentrating in 3 or 4 areas, we're hoping that we have a larger impact overall and spread our visibility throughout the city instead of just being in the core, hit those outskirts area by being aware that, you know, the citizens out there are also frustrated with the speeds. And then the very last piece falls into the community mobilization, which we've spoken to through the community safety and well-being, and then the impact team and our partnerships with victim services and St. Leonard's, which are also on the agenda later today. We're able to kind of reach out in all of those different areas and try and work on prevention and rehabilitation at the same time as the enforcement. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Don? Anything? Okay, he's got his hand up, but
You have to tell him he's muted, I think.
you're muted, Don.
All right, now you can hear me.
Now we can hear you.
Just in your statistics there, motor vehicle collisions, primary cause, vehicle collisions, and it was for fatal ones. In 2021, there's 4. Is the 401 included in those statistics or not?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Were they included the other years as well?
They were included since 2019, which is when we took over jurisdiction from the 401.
Okay, they were included in those years. Okay, I thought maybe there was an increase just because we took over.
No,
right.
that's the increase because of that one
Bill.
serious accident on the 401 where we had multiple lives lost.
Okay, all right. No, I just wondered about that. I think that's all I have with this question. Yeah, I just wondered. There's one other one down the fatalities in detachment area. Again, there was 2, 2, and 4, except the next line down, there's one of them is 5. I must have been a pedestrian, right? In the very bottom, fatalities in the detachment area. 2019 was 2, 2020 is 2, and 2021 is 5. And persons killed.
I find it very difficult to understand you, Don, but that's,
Oh, is that right?
So is that's
Sorry.
the number of people who were deceased, not the number of incidents.
oh, okay.
So if you have more than one person in a vehicle, it counts as 2.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? No? Well, thank you very much. I certainly appreciate the work that everybody has done and is doing, particularly on that 401 highway. Yeah, you gotta have a lot of courage to be out there on a regular basis. Somebody has to have something more than I have. I can tell you that. Yeah, a couple of times in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've come west on the 401 and gone east on the 401, and both times traffic was almost bumper to bumper, almost, maybe not quite, but really close. There's a lot of traffic out there, and it doesn't matter how fast you go, somebody else is going to go by you. Yeah, so, but I appreciate the work that all our officers do, and in particular, but I appreciate the work they do all the time. But I really see 401, and I keep pushing as much and as hard as I can to get the government to recognize the importance of expansion of that highway from Cobourg right through to Cornwall. that has to happen. It has to happen. And I know they keep telling us when we ask them what the time frame is, well, we're doing work, we're doing evaluations of bridges, and in the process of purchasing some property, I know they've purchased property on the Wooler Road adjacent to the 401 and on the west side of the Wooler Road so that they can do work on that interchange in particular. There are many bridges that need to be somehow miraculously improved, and all the on and off ramps adjacent to them as well. So, but no time frame as to when it will even begin, as let alone when it will be completed. So, anyways, I feel that's very important. And you know, we talk about the homeless on a regular basis. Yes, we do. And is there an easy answer? If there is, give it to me. Tell me. You know, give me the answer. Anybody got it? I would really love to hear it. You know, I still believe we're working with Hastings County, and our police are working with them as well. And in some situations, if they can convince a homeless person to go someplace to sleep and clean up, they do. But that is one difficult task, because in most cases, the homeless people choose where they want to be, and the best we can do is try to keep them safe. That's often, and I appreciate the work, because I know it isn't easy. I know it's a challenge, and yes, so I appreciate, but I still want to know that I appreciate the work that's done. And the fact that Jane helps me with, Jane Milky, with a number of meetings that I attend on behalf of the Police Service Boards of Ontario. And when we go through all the different agenda items, and I come back home, and I don't leave, but I come back home mentally and find and feel that what we have here is certainly fantastic. And it's easily recognizable when I hear what other areas have to deal with. One of the first things that I feel is very important and to recognize is the fact that when we have meetings or we have council meetings, that I have representation from Inspector Reeve or from Staff Sergeant Doolan. So, you know, that sounds simple, but it doesn't happen in many parts of Ontario. That does not take place. People do not attend meetings on a regular basis like you do. And I'm more than pleased, because, you know, if there's a question or a concern, it can be answered, or you know what it is and you deal with it. And that's it. That's fantastic. So I thank you very much. I think that's all I need to say. Anything else that we got? Oh, I know we did we vote on the other one, the taxi, or did I just get, did I vote on that taxi one?
The decision item has been voted on.
Okay, good.
And
So then, we got the next one. I need a mover and a seconder for the
still on decision.
board approve the renewal of the victim services.
No, we gotta
Okay?
do this police service board report.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, we'll go back to this police service report. Okay. Need a mover and a seconder to accept, Chuck and Ted. Any comments, questions? All in favor? Carried, thank you. All right, then the next one is, we did the taxi. That's done, correct? So then we've got the bail notification program. So I need a mover and a seconder for that. Chuck and Ted. Anyone, any questions or comments on that one? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay. Funding request from St. Leonard's Community Support Prevention and Residential Services Program for $12,000.
I'll move it.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Alia, seconded by Chuck. Any further comments? Anybody else? Further comments? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, great. They're all very worthwhile programs, and yeah, as I say, if I had all the answers, I wouldn't have to do this, but it's true that we need to help people live a life that's acceptable and one that we can deal with and work around or work with. So thank you very much to those organizations that do that. Thank you very much.
Just one question on
Yes,
that,
go ahead.
to Christina. I see St. Leonard's, you've got in the past, you've had a really good relationship. Is that still the case?
Yes, absolutely. We're in regular communication with them. They're still a huge anchor for our community services. They've actually expanded their programs as well and have additional youth workers working out of our building. I'm also in regular contact with the executive director who runs the home on Hamilton Road and oversees all of the programming. So, yeah, very strong relationship. They always, the staff that they have going through there are very eager to work with us.
Good, thank you.
Okay. That's it.
I think Christina talked about the annual progress report, but this is her June to August.
Okay. Is there anything else, Inspector, that you need to add, or are you all?
No, I see you're looking at the June-August report.
Yeah.
I just saw that as a supplementary to the action report. It's just numbers. So if you have any questions from it, but there's nothing really to speak to.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, so do we need, can we accept it all as one, or do we need, Jane, you're good? Motion? Okay, so you're good? That's all that matters. Okay, thank you very much. All right, anything else, folks, anything else? I've been down to the fishing derby the last, Saturday and Sunday. I was down just a little after 6, and I always look at the parking lot and as I come into town on the riverside, so I have an idea what went on Saturday night or whatever. And very few cars were left in those parking lots, so that tells me that everybody had a good time, but also had designated drivers to get home and get home safely. So, how did everything go from your point of view?
We didn't have an increase of calls at all this year. So generally, we do have the thefts of fishing equipment along the shoreline and some different issues with boats being entered. I'm not aware of any of those, and no impaired driving that we were aware of, and we were in the area, so.
Thank you very much. Anything, Don, anything that you've got on your mind other than mental ability?
No, nothing.
Good, okay. I think we're done, right?
I just make one
Nothing at
comment,
all.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to the person who lost the lower unit of their motor. I can tell you the water is down about 2.5 to 3 feet, so the bottom is closer to the top now. I know of a couple out in front of our place, found that out too. I don't think they took the bottom off, but they had a sudden thump and probably rearranged the pitch under prop. But no, the water's really dropped and it's still going down. I can't believe it. It's at least 2.5, getting close to 3 feet drop. And it was not exceptionally high this spring. It was about close to normal, but it's really gone down the last few weeks. So you got to be careful where you're going now, because geography has changed. I'll put it that way. And or if not, you get certainly a quick lesson in what's going on that can be costly too. So.
Yeah. Well, this fella had some really good sponsors, because whoever, and I didn't ask who it was, but anyways, he was going today to get the parts replaced on his motor. So, and I think it was a 250 horse Merc motor, just a small one.
Well, I imagine if it was a bass boat and he was motoring, why it sheared it across pretty good, because I've seen it done before. So.
Yeah, it did. Anyways, thank you. I think we're done, Guy. Unless any other comments? Anyone else? No. We're good.
I'll move to adjourn then.
Yeah, move. Seconded by Chuck. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're good. I got.